Okay, hello folks. I think we're live. As I was just saying to these guys, it's kind of a bit of a unknown, but looks to be live. Sweet. So thank you so much everyone for joining us today. Today is obviously our Zapier Power Up workshop. So yes, thank you so much for joining. We're going to have basically a training session for you. So we're going to go through some of the things that we're currently working on with Zapier, and also kind of get into actually some actual use cases to help everyone kind of power up their usage. Whether you're new to Zapier or an absolute pro at the moment, we think that there'll be something that you'll be able to learn from this session. So let's get into it. So as always, got to kind of put up my regular disclaimer. I'm using what we can and can't say, but then we'll move across. So just to be clear, because this is only our second time doing one of these workshops, this is not a town hall. We're not talking about kind of any big company updates, our roadmap ahead, or kind of any beta programs and general support escalations. We're purely focusing on Zapier today. So yeah, if you want to try and keep your questions towards Zapier and kind of related questions to that, that would be great. Anything else, you can hit up support@hospitable.com. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Luke, one of our presenters today, to get started with some introductions. Luke.
Thank you. Hi, so I'm Luke. I'm a product engineer here at Hospitable for about 2 years. So my primary focus for the last kind of year or so has been on the platform team. So that encompasses all our public API, our webhook, and things like our Zapier integration, and also working with our vendors for our multiple integrations that we've got. And we've also got Sean.
Hey everybody, my name is Sean McGregor. I've been using Hospitable since 2016, and what I do now is I have a company called NoCodeSTR.com, where I teach people to automate the annoying parts of the short-term rental business using all the no-code tools, my favorites being Airtable, Zapier, and then the ultimate no-code tool, which is AI. I actually learned about Zapier from Hospitable when it was Smart B&B back in 2016. So, full circle moment for me, pretty pumped to, show you the magic that can be done now that Hospitable has this amazing integration.
Cool. So I think we'll start off with just kind of a big overview, like kind of what is Zapier. So as Zapier is an automation tool that kind of allows you to integrate with kind of multiple different tools and very easily kind of link them with other tools without having to have kind of development experience or the technical knowledge. It's kind of really intuitive UI to kind of make kind of doing those automations as easy as possible. So obviously we've just recently introduced our own Hospitable integration, which is kind of utilizing our existing APIs and webhooks to kind of give the power to be able to perform actions based on kind of all your data from your Hospitable account, and then integrate it with kind of hundreds of existing ones in Zapier. Obviously, we at the moment have our kind of own integrations. So at the moment we've got kind of like 50, and they're kind of ever growing, and we work in partnership with those direct integrations. But kind of, I guess the thing that Zapier gives you is like, what if there is a kind of integration that isn't on that list, we haven't integrated? So it kind of gives you that power to be able to integrate with kind of thousands of apps rather than like kind of the ones that we've got official integrations with. So it really kind of gives you that power. So in terms of how Zapier works from our integration point of view, so when you are using Zapier and creating what they call zaps, which is your automations, they're split into what they call triggers and actions. So a trigger will be something that happens within kind of an application that will kind of trigger that action to happen. So in the example of Hospitable, we've got 4 triggers. So those are based around reservations, properties, messages, and reviews. So when you get a new reservation or an existing reservation is updated, whether you create a new property or existing property is updated, or a new message comes, so a new message within a reservation, and when a new review is received. So those triggers will trigger off, and then you can hook into those and access all the data that is currently available in our existing webhooks to be able to kind of power kind of what you want to do and where you want to go with your actions. So the available actions we've got. So an action will be it will be a reaction to a trigger. So a trigger is triggered. You can then configure it to say, okay, I'm going to do this action now. So our integrations also just as of last week, a new version has come out which has introduced 3 actions which we can trigger. So that is sending a message to a reservation, sending a message to an inquiry, and responding to a review. So these are the things that exist in our API. They're actions that you can take against your account. So just give us a slide. So I'll go through a demo of kind of how to set those up and kind of show you what that looks like. But you can basically find Zapier within the app section of your Hospitable account. If you go to apps, you can go to automations, and then there's a kind of whole Zapier page. We've also very recently added an embedded Zapier workflow within that page to make it easier than ever to kind of get set up and get started. So from within here, you can, once you've connected your account, you can actually see the zaps, the Hospitable zaps that you have created. You can very quickly set up a new zap, and you can also see recommended zaps that actually other community members have created that you might find interesting. So I think that's really powerful to kind of see some examples of what potentially other people are doing. So as I said, there's thousands of like apps within Zapier that you can kind of connect to. So there's all sorts of categories. So like we pulled out some of the big, most well-known ones that are kind of really powerful. So if you want to do kind of data management, you want to take the data from your Hospitable account and kind of put it somewhere else to like run reports, stuff like that. So there's a lot of kind of well-known tools to be able to do that. Project management, so things like Trello, Monday.com, Airtable, again, allow you to kind of like automate the data from your Hospitable account to these automated tools. And then things like marketing campaigns and communication and notification. So we've got this short code, which we'll keep on screen for a bit here, and that will kind of take you to kind of an overview within Zapier of kind of what some of these powerful tools that you can integrate with are. So our Zapier integration is available for all Hospitable users on all plans, as it's powered by our public API, our webhooks, which is available to all of our Hospitable plans. It's kind of available for you to be able to like utilize this automation. So Zapier itself is there is a free tier. There are different tiers of this, but you can get started by a limited zap. So Sean, do you want to go through some of the different tiers of the Zapier pricing?
Yeah, absolutely. So the free one is good for very simple zaps. You only are allowed 2 steps. So it's basically, in this use case, if there's a new reservation, create a row in a spreadsheet. But there's some limitations with just the 2-step thing, but it's still better than doing it all yourself. So it's very useful just to get started and just see the magic happening of like, oh, wow, that person just booked. And now my Google Sheet, the information's there. All right, that was pretty magical. Where can I go from here? But the professional tier, where you start paying $20 a month if you're paying annually, I think it's $29 if you're paying monthly. That's where you can pull in AI by Zapier that I'll show in a minute, do multi-step zaps, have filters, a bunch of cool things. I'll show you more of that whenever I'm taking over the my part of the demo. But start free, see that it works. But then I highly recommend just like at least the lowest plan of professional if you are intrigued by the ideas we put forth today, just because it can do so much for your business. So get more into it in a little bit.
Okay, it's time for some live demo. So I think we're just going to kind of show you, we just really want to get across like how powerful this tool is. So I'm going to start off and just kind of take you through the process of like setting these up, how easy it is to do that. just kind of show you the basics, and then Sean's going to kind of go on to some more advanced topics and show you like really where the power is to be able to automate a lot of these things. So let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm logged into my Zapier account here. So I'll find an example one. So I'm not going to do it from scratch. I kind of went through this earlier, but I'll go through all the steps of kind of what's involved. As I said, I'm on the free tier myself here. So like this is very simple, like the very simplest kind of Zap you can do, which is here's my trigger and here's my action. So it's just 2 steps. It's like when this thing happens, we're going to do this. So when we go in, go to edit. So here we can see set up my trigger. Obviously, all these existing ones, these well-known names, they'll have their own triggers. So it could be that kind of using that. But the benefit of this, we'll go through the Hospitable. So if we go to the Hospitable, and then we can see here, these are the triggers that we talked about. So in this case, I'm going to say the reservation was updated or created. And I've connected my account, but I can show you how easy it is to connect to that. So it just uses our auth flow that we use for our API. And asks for permission. You give it permission. And that's it. As simple as that. You've now connected your account. So then when you're setting up your Zap, you have to kind of go through this test step. So what you can do, we've defined the trigger that we're using. You can run the test, and what this will do, this is configured to it will grab the 3 latest reservations. Obviously for the reservation trigger, it'll grab the reservations. Obviously for the messages ones, it'll grab the 3 latest messages. So we can kind of see the information here that it's pulled in. So we can see all the data that's available to us for that reservation. So we can see what the action was. We can see the reservation code, the platform. So all the information that's available in our API, guest data, financial data, all sorts of stuff in here. So that's it. So that's my trigger setup. So then onto my action. So in this case, I'm going to do Google Sheets as the app. And my action is just to create a spreadsheet in the row. Okay, and then I've connected that to my Google account. So I can choose the drive. I've set this spreadsheet up already. It's called Zapier, and then it's got a sheet called reservations. And then what it's done, it's looked at that sheet. I've pre-populated that with some headings, and it's pulled those in and said, actually, these are your columns that you've got in there. So I've set up one reservation code, check-in date, the property, and revenue. That's the data that I want to pull in. So then you can very easily map what you want to pull into that. So you can search through all the data that's available, or they've actually introduced recently this Copilot AI tool, which I found really useful, and it kind of gives you suggestions. So it knows the field's called reservation code, and it suggested, oh, there's an attribute on that trigger called code, and shows you like the example from the test one that you tested. It will give you the actual code. So similar for the check-in, I've pulled in the property name, and then I've just pulled the from the financials, the formatted revenue. And then we can go to test. Let me. So if I clear this out, so you can see, for example, here's my sheet that I've set up. So code, check-in date, property, and revenue. So then if I go to here, if I then retest that, that will take my test data and run it through the action. And I can see that it's got a successful test. And what I can see now is the data from my trigger is now populated in this sheet, and the column mapping has mapped it into the right column. So kind of that's the simplest version of this. Is kind of as a tool, how you can use it. And there's kind of many, even like a simple Zaps, there's really simple ways you can do, even if it's just like, oh, I just want to get a notification when I get this new reservation, or kind of anything simple like that. It's just a simple trigger and then an action. And obviously that in itself is really powerful. But obviously there's so much more you can do in terms of multi-layered automations. So I'll hand it over to Sean to go through some of those.
Okay, awesome, Luke. Let me take over. All right, hopefully you can see everything. One quick request. I asked the question, but I'm going to do a live example in a minute. And I'd like y'all to just give me some sort of like movie character name or something silly to use as a guest first and last name, so I can show you the reservations go and that it's actually all, you know, legit. So just put those in the chat. I'll pick one in a minute and we'll go from there. First one is a more advanced version of what Luke just showed. This is a multi-step Zap, obviously, but same exact trigger. And again, hopefully you'll see by the end of this how valuable it is that Hospitable is letting everyone integrate with Zapier, because really anything that would work better for your business, you can take control of it now. Sync it up to any of the 8,000 plus softwares that Zapier interacts with, and just really just customize things to work perfectly for your business. And that's what I'm all about. Again, automate the annoying, fill in the blank, whatever's annoying to you. That's kind of like the trigger of like, hey, how can I automate this? Because, you know, we all need, you know, more time to spend with family and friends and the important things in life instead of just replying to messages all the time. So here I am, a little bit more advanced version, new reservation created. One thing with the two-step Zap, because the trigger is for updated or created, if somebody changes their dates, you're going to get a second row in that Google Sheet. If somebody adds their email, you might get a third row in that sheet. So one thing you can do if you have a kind of a paid plan is you can make it to where I only want the reservation to be created in this example. That way I'm only getting one per booking, so I know that's true. Again, this is not the way I do it personally. I'll show you the way I do it in a minute, but I want to kind of keep it simple and easy for y'all to understand first. One thing also, the way that, and this is because of just, this is how you would send data normally, but here is the booking date, and you can see it has these kind of like extra characters. This is the time. Well, you wouldn't actually want that in your Google Sheet, or if you're going to use that information in a further message. But again, AI, the ultimate no-code tool, in Zapier now, this all happens instantly. As soon as this comes in, I can say, hey, look at this check-in date, look at this checkout date, and I want to return it in month, day, year. And I also want you to return it in a pretty version where it's the actual day of the week, you know, and the date after that. This could be used in future communication with cleaners, just anyone that you want to actually have like a real understanding of what the date is. But AI by Zapier, do that one time, and then in your create spreadsheet row, all of a sudden you have this information available. I'll show you real quick. I got to format dates here. And now it is automatically created check-in date with month, year, the pretty version, etc. And so I can put this in here, and now I have this data point. And I'll show you some really cool ways to use AI by Zapier in a second, but it's just like having ChatGPT inside of a Zap. You can even choose what model you want. If you want 4.1, if you want, you know, 4.1 mini, whatever you want to do. You can even choose some Claude automate, you know, LLMs. It's like really dynamic, really powerful. But what I like to do is, as soon as somebody books with me, I go to OpenPhone, which is an SMS texting platform that allows you to get all of your information instead of being in your phone, puts it online to where if you do bring on teammates later, you can actually have them answer questions for you. And I actually guarantee a 5-star review, or I don't take a commission with any of the properties I host. So for me, I have to deliver an incredible experience every single time. And I feel it's easier for a guest to deal with text message than with necessarily the Airbnb platform, because they might be older, they might not have the app, might miss something, but everybody understands how to use text messages. So what I do is I create their contact with all their information as soon as they book. So if they call 30 seconds later, guess what? I know that Brian's the one that booked. I have his information, and I can, give amazing hospitality and blow his mind. Even though he booked 30 seconds ago, I know who he is. I know when he's staying, all the information. And also, there's been some platform shifts lately where you can't really, you have to keep everything online, and it's all through AI, and they're watching over every message. As soon as someone books, I like to send someone a text message because I do like that personal connection. And this is a way you can just run through this. And as soon as a booking happens, all of a sudden your spreadsheet row is created. But on top of that, you have their contact information in your phone, and you've sent them a text message immediately. So rather than test these out on here, I'll show you how it actually works in real time, along with a lot of the other automations that I have built upon this. So let me just see if anyone in the chat puts a name. Otherwise, I'll just. All right, I'm just gonna go with like Buzz Lightyear. How about that? So this is an actual booking I'm making on Hospitable with our property. And I'm gonna create booking, and I'll try to jump over here quick. So under swap guests, it's empty right now, but in just a second, because that booking went through, this should fill in with Buzz Lightyear's information. Okay, so it's here now. And in just a moment, it'll pop in here. And then what's gonna happen is over here, it'll send a message, it'll create his information, it will send a text message. But then on top of that, we're not just dealing with, so here's Buzz Lightyear, and this is an Airtable. We're not just dealing with just ourselves. We're managing for other people that are owners. We have a cleaning team that needs to be notified. So what I do is I use everything in Airtable, and because it's more of a database, what happens is this property gets linked to this guest. All the information of that property, I have one place I put it, including all the documentation for it. And then I can reference any of it with this guest. Property owner is attached to that property. Cleaning team is attached to that property. And so what should have happened all right, it takes about a minute. So this is the awkward part. Let me show you real quick what my more advanced setup looks like. So I actually look to see if the booking exists. Then I find the property. Then if the record is new, I create a new record. But if it already exists, instead of having 3 different reservation fields like I showed before, I have one if it's canceled to update the record. But instead of how Airbnb takes away the last name, takes away the phone number, everything else, all I do is update the status from accepted to canceled. But if it will continue, I change the date, the phone number, the email. So if they put in their email at some point and that data gets sent to me, all of a sudden in my database I use all the time, I have that information. Let's go back here and hopefully I'll get something going. Oh, here we go. So this message was sent. Hi, Buzz. Thanks for booking with us. My name is Sean McGregor. Look forward to your stay starting on Wednesday, June 18th. So a quick reply message, yada, 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 yada. All that information gets sent immediately to them. Text me your email address if you'd like, and access to our digital guidebook. So the way I have it set up, if I reply with an email right now, it would actually, in Airtable, be taken, put into my Airtable base, and it'll send them an email that's branded with my information. And another great example of how to use this is if you have a direct booking site. When a booking happens, you can use the Hospitable message as an email, but you can also send your own branded email immediately. I heard a couple dings, so I'm hoping I got some action here. All right, maybe it's because I have it in a done. Yeah, live demos, am I right? Okay. Well, anyway, I'll move on from that. I'll show it in a little bit. It's a bummer. Okay, so one other thing I'll show you real quick is as soon as that booking happens, I have a cleaning app that's built with Airtable. And you can see on my cleaners app, immediately this information got put in there. So they're updated immediately. They would have been sent a text message immediately with, the booking, when it happened, etc. But this form, they have access to reviews. They can upload videos. They can fill out a cleaning form, which I'll show in a little bit if we have extra time. But they'll have access to a calendar at all times that is fully updated, and that's here through Airtable. I will go ahead and send this back to Luke for the messaging example, and then hopefully my text will actually come through, or I'll find them so we can get out of this awkward situation. But here we go. Saw it a second ago. Yeah, okay, just this one again. All right, womp womp. Let's go on.
Okay. Sorry, did you say a messaging example? I don't know if you had, did you have one? That was my, is that the last of the examples, Sean?
Well, I have one for messaging and I have one for reviews as well. Oh yeah, let me kick up my screen. Are you going to do a message one, or do you want me to just carry on with all of them?
I think just carry on. I think I was, in terms of the setup, in terms of the trigger, the actions, they're pretty much, the flow is exactly the same. It's just like, obviously the trigger is different. So it's just
okay.
like, depending on kind of what you want to build with those.
Okay, awesome. So one thing I'll show real quick is that, again, I use everything through Airtable. And, I didn't put in this door code. This was automatically created. I used seam.co to put in a code based on the last 4 of the number with, that automation. And what I can do is actually put in the time, hit send. This can all be automated fully, but this whole text message will go out to this guest. And I realize now that I had the last 4 of the phone number wrong, which is why another message is sent, but that's how it is. But anyway, this text will go through. And if I go over here, in a second, the text to Buzz with all that information will show up here, including his door code, all the details about my property. And this will, just give that more personal experience. There we go. Okay, finally. So here's the cleaning app that finally happened. The cleaning notification. Good knows NoCodeSTR cleaning. Got a new booking at this property. These dates. Here's the link to the calendar. It's automatically updated. Yada yada. So again, the magic of a live demo where it took an extra minute. But anyway, let's move on. So other triggers you have are guest messages. And so anytime somebody sends you a message, you can automatically record that, put it in your Airtable, put it in your Google Sheets, however you want to do it. But what you can do, and I'll show this, like all these messages were sent and they're brought back in here. You can set it up to where you have a digital guidebook for your people, and any messages they send through that get recorded here. Any messages they email you get recorded here, plus any hospitable messages. And then you can actually have all of that rolled up and use it in another step where it's a AI reply automatically, and it'll have the full context of every message, of every single pinpoint of that that guest, so you can generate a reply automatically. So here's another one that just came in, as you can see. So here's the message that I just sent a second ago. Check-in is normally 4 p.m. but you can actually head over anytime after 1 today. All this information put in dynamically. And a very important point is when you use Airtable, instead of using just Zapier by itself or Google Sheets by itself, you can create one Zap. And because it's a database and it brings in the different properties and the different information, you can have one Zap for 100 properties. And you add a new property and it'll automatically work. You add a new cleaner, automatically work. You add, obviously any guests get automatically, it will bring in all the information, have all the relevant information, etc. So there's the guest messages. And one thing that we could have put in this is if there was a door code issue, you can put an AI by Zapier step in here and say, if it's a door code, make sure to look at the property documentation, which is all in Airtable, generate a reply, and then message that guest immediately. And I have a little toggle on mine where I can do AI replies on or off. And again, it can be from Hospitable that message comes, and it'll be sent back to Hospitable. It can be a text message that message comes in from, it'll be sent back through OpenPhone. And then email the same thing. But you can build your own universal inbox with these tools that work perfectly every single time, just with a minute delay, which is awkward on live recording. Another thing you can do now, and I'll check, I got a few more text messages, see what we got here. Okay, so here's the cleaning one. And then here is the 2 messages that were sent to Buzz Lightyear. So that finally came through. All right, so we have the reviews. And whenever a review comes in, you can automatically be notified. It'll go into your Airtable. It can decide if it's a 5-star or a 4-star, send that on Slack to, either a 5-star channel where, hey, great news, everybody, we left a 5-star review, read through it, contact the guest, etc. That's kind of like the more basic version. But what you can actually do is set up where if you get a 5-star review, set up another Zap where after that 5-star review comes in, an hour later, you can send a text message to that same guest that includes the 5-star review. And you can have this kind of looked at by Airtable AI to see if it actually, is something you want to post it or not. But in that text message, include that review and your Google My Business page. And since it's a 5-star and the Zap is set up to only run on a 5-star, they'll be texted with the review they've already written, a link to, leave a review on your Google page. You might not get everybody, but because you're making it so simple for them, you can get so many more 5-star reviews on your Google business page, which drives up direct bookings, reputation, everything else. And, that's an important note about this stuff is none of the tools I use, Airtable, Zapier, etc., are short-term rental specific. They can be used at any part of your life or business. So any business can use that Google My Business hack. If you get a review anywhere, then okay, I want that posted other places. You can make it really simple for people by setting up a rule saying, find a quick example. On here, I have like 1 million automations. And you can set up different filters in Airtable, just saying, hey, if it's an accepted booking, their checkout is tomorrow, and it's 11 o'clock in the morning, send a text message reminding my cleaning team that they check out tomorrow at this property, this address, here's a link to the calendar, etc. But this kind of logic of if this, then that can be applied to any different of the 8,000 apps that Zapier provides. So let me do one more thing real quick. On here, I just mentioned the reviews come into Airtable automatically. This again is the digital guide or the cleaning app I have for my team. You can actually use a software called AeroPage to make apps with your Airtable data. And so this is all automatically brought in by Airtable to this cleaning app that costs $0 per listing. And it brings in all of these reviews automatically, so my cleaners know, how they're doing. And then I'll show you this real fast. I have them all, the cleaners all fill out a cleaning form. This just will show kind of the Airtable AI side of things. And they can say, yes, let's clean, no new repairs needed. Yes, yes. If there's any supplies needed, they can put those in here. And then because I selected there was a maintenance issue, let me show you this real fast. Okay, I'm going to submit this. This will actually send, well, good timing as always. Normally it would send a message to my team, let them know there's a maintenance issue, but then it would also bring it in here to this cleaning form area. And I'll go ahead and show you this I just built. Oh, damn. Okay, here we go. So you can set up AI fields in Airtable now that actually, just like ChatGPT, but you bring in the information from your actual Airtable fields, and it will go ahead and generate a summary of the troubleshooting steps you need. It will go on Thumbtack, find the 5 people that have the highest reviews along with their link, and then we'll even generate a Thumbtack message for them. And again, you know, my demo's failing all over the place because that's how things go. But it's just another example of how if you can get your data into Airtable or into Google Sheets, all of a sudden you can fix the problems any way you see fit. And Airtable AI, Zapier AI, and then the first step of any of it is bring the information into Airtable or Google Sheets. And from that, you can use any of the 8,000 different Zaps to work exactly how your business works. You can use Slack. Again, here is 5-star review only, and all this channel is all the 5 stars. Then I have one here, 4 stars. And you know, again, just make it really, really simple for your team to deliver a great customer experience. I think that's the main, all of them. The only other one y'all have that I will just go over really quickly is you can do review replies. And same thing, if it's a 5-star, you can just have an automatically generated review reply. Just say, okay, let's just generate this real fast. It will generate a review reply for you. This can again be done automatically. I'm just testing it still. Then you just click a button and it'll be sent. But you can literally, in the 2-step process, if you wanted to, just say when review is, you know, created, go ahead and send a review reply, and then you'll never have to do that manually again. Again, not the biggest time saver in the world, but just another thing off your plate. And the more you stack, more things you take off your plate, the more time you have for your friends and family. So I think that's about it for mine. Yeah, Q&A, let me have it. Be happy to help with any of your wish list items. And, you know, again, sorry for technical difficulties, but I do have NoCodeSTR, a free 5-day course showing all the different tools I use. And I'm going to be providing all the Zap templates I showed, along with detailed Loom videos of how to set them up for your business. So if you just go to NoCodeSTR.com, you'll sign up for the free 5-day course, and then I'll follow up with you with all that information. And, you know, it'll work much smoother when it's not on a live demo.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sean. So yeah, as Sean alluded to, we are going to move into a Q&A. I'll get people back on stage. Sorry. Sweet. So yeah, plenty of questions in the chat already. We're going to start trying to go through those best we can. If you do have any more questions that you want to put to Sean or Luke, please do drop them in the chat. But yeah, we'll try and work through some of those now. We are trying to work through the chat as we go as well. So yeah, I think we kind of alluded to this at one point, but one question was, can we use Zapier to send WhatsApp messages? Sean, do you want to briefly touch on that?
Yeah, for sure. Just like I was able to send the OpenPhone messages, you can also use WhatsApp. So if you're international, that would obviously be your way to do it. There's a company called 2Chat that I've used before that works well, but I think also if you're on like WhatsApp Business, you can use them as well. But as soon as a booking comes through, you can message that guest, and then, you know, my whole flow is all through text message. So as soon as a booking happens, they get texted. Day of check-in, they get a text message, all the information. Second day after they arrive at 11 o'clock, they get a text message. All of that can be done through WhatsApp as well.
Nice, awesome. And there was kind of a few questions around using potentially make.com or IFTTT. Obviously, the integration we have is with Zapier. I think that potentially Zapier does connect to those as well. I'm not 100% certain. But I think the question from the chat was if you just use Zapier, Sean, and you know, I guess why you have a preference to that versus some of the other platforms.
I have a lot of friends that use Make, and it's obviously, it has less connections, but it is a little bit cheaper. Zapier, because it has so many more robust connections, and they have really gone all in with the AI, like I showed that AI step. I think that makes it totally worth a little bit of extra money. And again, the main thing is no matter what platform you use, you're saving time by using these. Like if you want to send an email anytime a guest books, you can set up a Zap one time, and then every single time they'll have your real email, even an HTML email, anything you want. Just basically come up with your perfect wish list of how you want your business to run. And if there's another software that does it, now because of Hospitable's integration, you can go to Zapier and then connect to Slack, connect to WhatsApp, connect to any of the other 8,000. So yeah, make.com is great. If you wanted to use that, I think you'd be able to use the webhooks in Hospitable. But yeah, I've been a Zapier guy since 2016, so that's my go-to.
Nice.
Yeah, we had a request for this recently on the community asking why Zapier and why not Make, and I answered it on there, but the answer was we just had more requests for Zapier. It was our most upvoted feature request on the platform team. That's why we kind of decided to do it. So obviously, I know some people prefer Make and they would like the integration. But obviously, if you upvote the feature request, I'll stick it in the chat. If people do favour that, and if we get a vote on that, it might be something we consider doing. I think one of the other concerns is because we've done the Zapier integration, we've obviously been shouting about it. It's like, oh, these are all cool things you can do. I think that person had the idea that they had exclusive things in Zapier that you couldn't do in other places, which is not true, because the Zapier integration is built upon our API. It's built on our webhooks, and so it's anything you couldn't do in Zapier, you could do in Make.com. You just have to kind of manually configure the webhooks rather than have the smoother integration. So it's something to consider.
Nice, awesome. Okay, cool. So one more question from the chat. Well, we have loads more, sorry. But next question from the chat, and this one's for you, Luke, is just kind of understanding what actually gets passed and you know, seeing what comes across from a record, because the API description might be a little difficult to comprehend, I guess, if you're looking at the descriptions there. I don't know if it's worthwhile bringing back up your slide on the triggers as you talk through this. I'll share in the link. Probably our API documentation is the best place because it's kind of a bit more fleshed out, and it's so I'll link to it. So if you go to our API documentation, there is a whole webhook section, and obviously there is some of the endpoints are documented there for the actions as well. So you can kind of see
it's kind of a bit more documented, and we're kind of constantly improving that because it's used for our integrations for our vendors. So we kind of try and make sure that that's as descriptive as possible. So that's probably a good place to kind of see what is available in a bit more consumable format.
I guess
I can also share my screen real quick and show another place they can find it in Zapier. So whenever you're setting up a Zap, if you want to look in this, if you go to test and find new records, it'll bring up your actual data from your Hospitable account. And in here, you can see, okay, reservation created. Here's the code. This is like your reservation code, booking platform. And then you can just scroll down and see all the information. Oh, the number of guests, the number of adults, pets, okay, the dollar amount, yada, yada, yada. So you can go through this. It'll be the same information as the webhook documentation, but this you can do for each of the different triggers and see just right where you're going to use the data, what you have access to. And then all you do whenever you're setting it up is you just say, okay, I want the first name here. And then you just click first name, and whenever this runs, it'll put the first name in there. No matter who booked it, it'll be their first name. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Sweet, appreciate that. So yeah, kind of going back to the Q&A. So there's kind of a few questions around, I guess, how can we use this to do marketing, essentially. So I think one of the good questions that came through was reporter, what's the best way to collect guest phone and email and help them eventually rebook directly? So obviously trying to get people to come back and doing it through your direct booking site, and using Zapier to kind of, I guess, feed marketing campaigns.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I use this extensively. Hospitable does a great job of pulling in emails. They give you the phone number, and that's why I always text the guest immediately, just saying thank you. And with any of the Zaps, you can put like a 4-minute delay on it if you want, to where it feels more natural. But that way you're actually connecting with them off platform directly. And then you can do the same with you send an email automatically. And then you have 2 points of contact plus Hospitable and whatever the platform is. And then again, because you can bring reviews in, you can use that to filter who you want to target in future marketing, because you only want to really go after the 5-star reviews because they had a great time. You've already shown them a great experience. They'd probably be interested. And so you can just set up a rule where, okay, 14 days after so-and-so leaves a review, automatically send them this text message. And again, it's all customized to exactly how you want your business to run. But you can set it up where 30 days after a 5-star, send them an email, 14 days after, send them a text, and just, engage with them to help get that direct booking. Hey, do you know anybody? Here's our information, $100 off, whatever you want to do. But because of Zapier, you can do anything you want that feels right for your business. And again, make it automated.
Nice. Yeah, there's tons of possibilities. It's kind of difficult to talk through them all. Hopefully this encourages people to go play around, obviously. Great question from Eric here, and Sean, I don't know how comfortable you are giving the exact answer, but Sean loves this, and out of curiosity asking how much you're spending on all these tools on a monthly basis. He has 67 properties and thinking of kind of moving in this direction as well, obviously trying to understand how much it costs to scale to this level of automation.
Yeah, exactly. So what's great, like the cleaning app I showed you, I pay that company $30 a month, and I can have 10,000 properties or 10,000 cleaners, and everyone will have their own customized cleaning form, $0 per listing. Airtable, I have one, $30 per month subscription, and I have, I've had 5,000 plus groups, $30 a month. It runs my entire business. I pay probably $60 in Zapier costs for all the different automations. But again, I've replaced my digital guidebook cost. I've replaced my cleaning app cost, my direct booking cost, to where I pay $0 per listing on all that stuff. So you can spend a little bit of money on the automation stuff, but still it's like 100 or so versus, $25 for each one of those different apps you might need per listing. really can save you a bunch of money. And then again, it's all customized to work exactly how you want your business to work. So yeah, 6-7 properties, you could save a ton of money and have it work better for your business than anything off the shelf.
Nice. There was just kind of follow-up question on that, Sean. The cleaning app that you showed, could you share the name of that? Sorry.
So AeroPage is what I use, and it's something you can use to basically build websites or apps on Airtable data. But it also it does automatic emails, can generate images automatically, like very cheap for how powerful it is. And another thing about the Airtable cost, if you had, let's say, a team of 15 people, you'd have to pay $29 per month per person. But with AeroPage, you can set up a dashboard where they can interact and change your data in Airtable without any extra cost. So, you know, I have a dashboard for my teammates. They can put in a door code. They can make a note about somebody. They're not actually logging into my Airtable. They don't have to see the financials. They can show them what I want them to see, let them edit the fields I want them to edit, but not the other ones. So again, if you do it smartly, it's really, really cheap, and again, works exactly how you want it to work.
Oh, nice. Okay, I'm just trying to read through and catch up on any questions that Francis hasn't already answered in the chat. It's an interesting proposition from Scott. I don't know if this is possible. I don't think this will all appear on screen, but I'll be impressed if I can do the following. Get a review, add the review to a Canva graphic, and then post the Canva graphic to Facebook with a caption. Basically, the use case is the guest checks out, summarize the guest messages and review summary to create custom book again message, and then send personalized text message invite them back. Sorry, 2 use cases there. So taking a review, creating a graphic, pushing it to social media. Do you think that would be possible, Sean?
Yes. So let me show you this real quick. Same idea is what you're doing. So this is actually also AeroPage, but you know, here's a real life guest. I have an automation set up where as soon as a reservation window opens up, you know, I have like a email account with Outlook that I just use for every week because I never look at it, but it'll know whenever there's a new, like, leave a review for so-and-so. And 4 minutes later, this text automatically gets sent to this person saying, thanks again for being a great guest, left you a 5-star review. Here's a screenshot of the review. And if I click this is also through AeroPage, but it's a screenshot that looks like it's left on Airbnb, and it has Ali in the group, great guest, yada, yada, yada. But this was all dynamically generated, this image. So it's the exact same as what you're kind of looking for with the Canva example. But this image is generated automatically based on a rule I set up in Airtable, and it happens at the exact moment that I want it to happen, to be sent to the guest. Within 4 minutes of them, the review window opening up, I'm saying, hey, I left you a 5-star review. Here's a screenshot of it. What does that do? Probably get you a 5-star review that's also 3 or 4 sentences long, which is detailed and marketable. Or if they had any problems, they maybe won't leave a review now because we were so nice and we left them a 5-star review. So for your Canva example, you can use Canva probably, but there's many different ways. That's what's cool about Zapier is any tool you want to use, you can make it happen. And because you're getting the reviews into Airtable or spreadsheet, then you can just say, put this in this little image in Canva, and it'll automatically pull in that text. And then you can, obviously post it to Facebook or wherever automatically through Zapier. And again, you can filter it by only a 5-star has this happen. If it's a 4-star, you know, the Zap stops. So that way you're only getting the good posts. And, you know, with all of it, I always recommend just starting small, kind of manually watching to make sure it's working, and then turn it loose, set it live, and then just it'll happen automatically every time.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you very much. think that's a great use case. Okay, another question here, I think more for you, Luke, from Dennis. Why do I need to learn how to do all of this if Hospitable already does the majority of this work for me with integrations?
Yeah, I saw this coming up quite a bit in the chat at various stages of like, oh, we've got automated messages, we've got operations, we can message the cleaners. I think the answer to this is there's kind of a few points. Obviously, you might have a preferred integrator. We've got multiple integrators that do things that we do in the app. They do it slightly differently. Like obviously, we've had a big drive for AI, but we've now got AI messaging integrations. We like a choice. We don't want to restrict it. If you want to use your Hospitable account, your data in whatever way you see fit. Another point is we very specifically build features in a certain way. We like to be as simple as possible. We like an intuitive UI. We sometimes choose the route of a simpler approach, because yeah, there might be edge cases, but we want to, like, for the masses, as many people kind of make it as easy to use as possible. There might be some use cases where we just don't do it the way that you need to do it, and this kind of opens up the ability either through an integration or through Zapier just to kind of get it to how you need to do it. Probably another point, I think Sean covered this a lot. You could do a lot of this in your Hospitable account, but that's restricted to your Hospitable data in your account. What Sean was showing was actually data from other sources, like his guidebook, from all of these other kind of sources of data that you can kind of then utilize, that you can't get into your Hospitable account to kind of do these sort of things. So there's multiple answers. We like choice, and we think like give the ability to have the power in your hands to do this if you choose.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, I've used Hospitable and I still use Hospitable because it's, it's great. It is simple. It does its job very, very well. And I think if you have 1 or 2 or 3 of properties, like, you're probably great with Hospitable by itself. But even with just using Hospitable for the messaging, you could still take advantage of storing that data in a Google Sheet or anything else. But if you get to 67 properties, you might need some more, like some simple systems to personalize things, to provide that little extra level up with the digital guidebook that you're not paying a listing for, having that automatic follow-up for the 5-star Google My Business review, just a lot of things that Hospitable has so many customers and they're serving them so well. But if you have that little edge case, like, man, it would be really great for my business if I could do this one thing, you now have the power to add that on to what's already great about Hospitable.
Nice, awesome. Okay, we're nearly at time. Let me just throw in one more, because I did see a couple of questions around this, an interesting use case, an idea of sending an automated message with a discount link a month before a previous guest's birthday. So Sean, any ideas on how that could be done?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you'd have to have the guest's birthday. So as long as you get that data, then absolutely you can do it. One thing I do is whenever a guest is checking out, I just have a form that I send them where they put in, yes, it was great. Yes, everything worked properly. Was it, properly stocked, any notes, yada, yada. All that data gets stored in my Airtable. That gives me another opportunity to make sure I'm going to get a 5-star review or make it right if I don't. But in a form like that, you could simply just ask for their birthday so we can send you a special message. And if you have that data, then of course you can do anything. Send them an email, send them a text. You can automatically bring into the text message any properties within 50 miles of the place they live, whatever your use case, that's how kind of customizable you can get with it. So the answer for almost anything is yes. Takes a little bit more work, but you can get it to work perfectly for your business. And that's a great idea.
Nice. Okay. Sweet. So I think that we're going to have to call time on today's session. Sean, I'm just going to ping up your QR code one more time. Obviously, I'm sure it's got your contact details on there if people do have follow-up questions.
Yep. So NoCodeSTR.com, there's a free 5-day course where I show all the different tools I use. And then anyone that signs up today, I'll go ahead and follow up with an email with different zaps related to Hospitable that I find useful, along with a video showing you how to set them up. And then, yeah, you'll get a text message from me, and that's actually a two-way text. So feel free to reply to that with any questions, any wish list items. Again, my whole point is to automate the annoying, fill in the blank. So let me know what that blank is for you, and I'll let you know how we can automate it. So thanks again, y'all. Apologies for the delay on the technical difficulties and whatnot, but I really enjoyed it, and grateful to be a part of this.
Nice. Live demos. They're so much fun, aren't they?
Crusher. Especially when you thought you had an extra hour and a half.
It's okay. Sean got here on time. He almost didn't, but it's all good. Great. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you especially to Luke and Sean for today's session. Obviously, please go ahead, scan the QR code if you're interested in collaborating with Sean a bit more. Check out our help articles at help.hospitable.com if you want to find out more about our Zapier connection as well. Hopefully you found this useful. Just a reminder, you will receive the recording of the email shortly after the event. You can also just come back to the same URL and you'll be able to view the recording there. It's pretty much processes within minutes of us stopping the session. So thank you so much, everyone. And that's all we have time for today.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.